Have you ever wondered how to make a 3D embossed coin? I'm going to show you the full process today using the M Smart Dual SE laser engraver. We're going to be going through the full process of preparing the coin, setting up the actual image, generating a depth map for the image, all the way through the setup in LightBurn, my material settings I would recommend to you, and then finally we'll be showing the engraving and the post-engraving cleanup, the most important part. If that sounds good to you, if you would learn how to like this, stick around because I'm going to show you everything in this video. In order to emboss a coin, you need a fiber laser. The M Smart Dual SE is a 20-watt fiber. It also has a diode laser built in, but we will be using the fiber laser in this case. So now we're going to run through what we need to actually do this. And the first thing is a brass coin. So this particular one is approximately 40 millimeters in diameter, and the thickness is approximately 4 millimeters, give or take. This is an actual solid brass one. It's important you get solid brass because sometimes they just put a brass coating, and when you actually emboss down into it, you get a horrible black color come through. We know this is from a good source though, so that's what you're using. Then moving on, I am going to be using one of my own jigs to hold it in place so that it locks it and it can't move. This is important for me personally, but it's not entirely necessary. Finally, once we actually emboss our coin, we're going to want to treat it with brass black, and we'll be giving it some depth and clarity. We'll be using a nice Q-tip to apply it. We'll be using a steel wire cloth to rub off anything that we want to get that texture in the end. So there you go. You now know what we need. Let's move on over to our laser. I'm going to place it in the middle, and I am going to focus this laser manually. There are two arrows on the side that make this process really easy. And if I show you now, join those dots together, which means that lens is the optimum distance from the top of this, which means we should get perfect results. Let's move on to the software and get it set up. This image you're going to see on the screen right here is called a depth map image, and as you can see, it looks a bit different to a normal image. What it is a complete spectrum of dark to light colors, which ultimately is fed into the software, and it allows the software to dictate how much it needs to engrave and how many times. And in reality, you can come out of that getting a nice depth engraving. So where you can see the lighter surfaces, that means there's going to be minimal material taken off, and where you see it get darker and darker, the actual laser software, in this case LightBurn, interprets that and engraves more and more, further and further. So let me explain to you how you get one of these first. But you can generate them yourself, and you can generate them for free as well, and I'm going to show you that process right now. So in order to generate an image, in this case I have actually used ChatGPT to generate it. You can see the image looking great there, and the prompt I used is here. Feel free to take a snapshot and actually use it yourself. You can easily adjust the main words like T-Rex, dinosaur, all those things to get the type of image you want. But from my experience, this produces a really good result, so feel free to use that for yourself. So once you've got that image generated, download it, and that takes us to our next phase. So in order to produce a depth map, I like to use Sculpt OK. This is a software tool that I'm not affiliated to, but it works really well. You can try it for free, and that's exactly what I'm doing. They give you a number of credits, and then you spend those credits to actually generate. So to do that, you want to click on the try for free. Then you'll be given this home screen here. You can see other images people have generated and examples. In this case though, we are going to be doing AI depth map, so click on that. It will bring us to this screen right here, and at this point I'll highlight to you at the top right, you can see a little piggy bank with 78. These are the credits. I think you get 100 when you initially join for free. There is a price scheme that you can join to get more, but I haven't got that myself. So now I'm going to click on that plus icon, put my image into it, and you should see it load up. Then you need to specify the type of image. In this case I'm going with Sculpt Pro. I'm going to select 4K and 16-bit. That should give me a nice high resolution image, and then I will click draw. So I'm not going to do it this time because I have previously generated it. I'm going to switch over to another tab right here. This is what it generated for me, and what you can see is there are different levels of depth of color. So that is now going to allow the laser software to know what kind of depth and what kind of power and how far it needs to engrave each aspect of that dinosaur. One thing you can do, which is really cool, is click on 3D preview. It will load up this 3D preview generator, and then you can actually take a little look at how it will come out, and it's usually pretty good. Once you're happy with your design, click download. It will then cost you your credits, and then you can move on to the next stage, which is importing it into LightBurn. We're going to do that right now. So within LightBurn, you'll be greeted with this kind of welcome. This is the home screen that you get. So initially you want to make sure your laser is connected. Mine is. So the M Smart Dual SE does have a camera, so I am going to update the overlay so that you can see it and we can get a rough idea of where we need to place our coin. And as I said earlier, it's a 40mm coin, so our design needs to be 40mm or less to actually fit within that coin. We are going to import the image we have just generated, our depth map, and to do that, at the top left you're going to see import. Click on that, and once you get it, it will have your depth map image and it will come in oversized. And one downside is it does come in as a square image. This is probably all the way from ChatGPT generating it, so we'll need to crop around it to make sure it fits. There's a really good way of doing this. It is a bit laborious, but it works. The way we will do that is we will generate a circle holding shift so it keeps its aspect ratio, and then we're going to go up here and I'm going to make it 38mm by 38mm. That should allow it to sit within the coin, which is what we want. To then select it, I'm going to give it a new layer. I'm going to give it this red layer so you can see it. Actually, I'll give it a green layer. If you then select P on the keyboard, it will central it on the workspace. As you can see, my jig and the coin aren't currently central. That's not a problem at the moment. I am actually going to turn that off so it's not distracting for us. And then what we want to do with this image, also select P. We now know they are both centrally located on the laser's workspace. You can see this image isn't perfectly round. I'm going to unlock the aspect ratio and I'm just going to drag it so that it does fit where I need it to fit. I want there to be a slight overlap over the line where the white border is. So if we drag left, right, and up first, it should then overlap properly, as you can see here, like that. So I'm happy with that. If I now select everything, right click and crop image, you'll see we have now got our perfectly round image. So I'm going to change it to 38 by 38 and then lock the aspect ratio, drag it around, click P again, and now it's central. We have now got it circular and positioned where we want it. The next thing we need to do is apply our settings. So we're going to do that now. I have done some testing. I have got some settings that I'm going to share with you right now. So the way I'm going to do that, I'll go into my material library. I've got brass coin, emboss. I've got a deep engraving and a lighter engraving. I'm going to go for the light one here. I'm going to click assign, and now our settings are assigned. So if we open it up, let me show you what we've got so that you can make sure you have the right settings for yourself. So the most important thing I'm going to highlight to you first of all is 3D sliced as the image model mode. I'll tell you that first just so that you make sure you have that selected. By default, it's normally something like Stucky, I think. So 3D sliced is what we want. We've gone for 300mm second speed, 100% power, and 30 kilohertz frequency. I've gone for a 762 DPI and 120 passes. So one thing I will say, we've got a 20 watt fiber laser. If yours is more powerful, you'll need to adjust your settings accordingly. If yours is less powerful, you'll need to also adjust them accordingly. This is what we're using for a 20 watt fiber. So I've also got enable cleanup pass selected. And what that does is it gives us a secondary tab just here. And that will basically allow us to determine every set number of passes it does a cleanup pass. And that helps just get rid of any blemishes. In this case, I've gone for 1,500mm a second, 30% power, 20 kilohertz frequency, and I've done it to do it after every 50 passes of the actual main embossing. There you go. Those are our settings. So let me move on to the next thing that we need to do. So the next thing we want to do is we want to actually frame our design so that the coin is lined up nicely. And to do that, it's going to be hard at the moment because if you frame it currently, you're going to get a square box. That's really hard to line up on your coin. So what we want to do is we want to select a circle, which is exactly the same size, 38 by 38 centimeters. I'm going to do that here. I'm going to change it to 38. We're going to select it, select P, and it will put it exactly over the center of our workspace, which is where our design is. We are then going to select a tool layer, T1 at the bottom, and that will now give us a frameable object, which allows us to get the framing of our coin set up. So let's move over to frame. Let me show you how to do that. So within the laser tab here, we're going to click on frame, and you're going to make sure contour is selected and tool layers only. Let's go over and I'll show you how it looks. So you can see our coin jig is currently not central. So we're going to move it to make sure that that framing line is within the rim of the coin. And this is why we set it to the tool layer. It allows us to create a circular edge. And that looks absolutely perfect. So there you go. We can now move on to the next stage. The next thing we need to do is we need to actually make a cleanup layer for when it's finished. So what I'm going to do is I am going to select select our tool layer. I'm going to Control C and Control V, which copies it. And then I am going to set it to a blue layer so it's different. And at this point, I am going to once again select it and then select P on the keyboard, and it will centrally locate it over our design. We will then apply our cleaning pass, which I have some set up already here. And you'll see it will change it to a fill, and it's got 2000 speed, 20 frequency, 30% power, and it's got 762 lines per inch, 5 passes with a 5-degree angle increment, and it's got auto rotate selected. So this will basically give it a cleanup pass at the end to remove any final blemishes and allow us to proceed to our next stage. So we're going to click OK on that. That's now good. Then turn off the output. We don't need it. I'm going to turn off show so we go back to what we are. Now that we have everything set up, we want to actually get an idea of how long this is going to take, because they're not quick things to do. With a 20-watt fiber, normally 2 to 3 hours is what I'd expect for a decent emboss. So to do that, we've got our image output selected on. Up the top here, you're going to see a preview tab. You can press Alt and P as well. And what that will do is it will generate a 3D slice, and then it will give you a timeline where you can see exactly how it is going to emboss the coin to where you need it. And as you can see, 2 hours and 52 minutes is the time it's going to take. That's about right for a decent depth engraving. So we're happy with that. We're going to move on to actually starting the engraving now. So I'll show you how to do that. We will select our laser tab. We will select start. It will bring up the framing box one more so we can do a final check. And then we're going to click the start button and it's going to begin. So let's do it. So now that we've just done our engraving, our embossing, we want to do our cleanup pass. So to do that, we're going to turn off the output for the image, turn on our cleanup pass layer, as you can see there. And then we're going to click start. We're going to make sure we haven't moved the item at all. Everything stays the same. Click start again, and let's see how it cleans it up. Here is our coin after our embossing and our cleanup pass. It looks absolutely fine. I'm happy with it. However, we can add texture and depth to that, and that is the next stage that I will be showing you. I like to use an old camera lens cover just to put this in because it allows it to sit there. And if you do spill this, it won't stain anything that you don't want it to stain. That is very important because this stuff is actually very, very much a staining compound. The way I apply this, I dip in my Q-tip until it gets wet, and then I just literally run it along the top surface. You'll see it will react instantly. I just like to let it set. I'm quite sparing with it. The more you use, naturally, the darker it's going to get. But in this case, that is a good thing because we want it to be dark. And I will be covering the whole surface of it, even the rim on the outside. What I will say at this point as well is the more you put it on, you can put this on, remove it, and then put it on again. You'll get a deeper finish each time. I've put quite a lot on that time. So what we're going to do now is just let it set. There you have the coin. It has the brass black on it. So I'm going to let it sit for 30 seconds to a minute. Then I'm going to go and wash it under cold water. Then we are going to come back with our steel wool and we are going to give it a rub down and see how it comes out. So here we go. I wanted to show you cleaning it in the water. I'm just going to run it under, give it a wipe with my hand just to get any excess off. And as you can see, we have our ready to clean coin. So we've washed it off with water. It's dried enough now. We're now just going to take this and rub it flat against it, as you can see here. And you'll see it's already starting to get that contrast, which is what we want. Don't be afraid to be rough with it, because at the end of the day, we want it to contrast through. And look at this, it's already starting to look so good. And there you see, look at the texture on that. That is absolutely amazing. The M Smart Jewel SE has done a really, really fine job at embossing this coin, and I'll be doing many, many more like it. We've got just enough depth to get a nice 3D embossed look, but we could definitely go deeper in the future if we chose to. But overall, I'm very happy with this design. So I think you'll agree, the M Smart Jewel SE has done an absolutely amazing job embossing this coin. I hope you've managed to learn the process today so you can implement it into your own workflow. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. If you like the look of the M Smart Jewel SE laser, check out the links in the description below. Thank you once again for watching and have a great day. See you later, guys.